I would like to call to order this Finance Committee meeting of the Ascension Parish Council on August the 5th. If you have any comments that you would like to make, there's a public sign-in period. Please come up and speak to the secretary, let her know. And if you'll all join me now as we stand for the prayer and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Let us pray. Father, we give you praise and glory, and God, we thank you, Father, for all the blessings that you bestowed upon this parish, our country. Father, we pray that you watch over those, oh God, that are overseas, our armed forces, Father, in this threat of terrorism, oh God, that you protect them. Now, Father, we pray for your wisdom, oh God, as we go through this meeting tonight. We pray that you guide us, oh God, all the leaders, both elected and appointed, oh Father, in making the decisions that benefit this parish. We give you all the praise and glory in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
I would like to invite Mr. Charles Landry to present to the Finance Committee of the Ascension Parish Council. Charles, I thank you. I know we're running late, and you have to be in Baton Rouge in just a little bit.
That's right, if traffic will allow me.
I understand. Please, Charles has been invited to speak to us with regard to impact fees. He is one of this country's foremost experts on that subject, and we have asked him to come and present, particularly in light of recent developments with our Supreme Court and what that might mean to Ascension Parish. Thank you, Charles.
Glad to be here, and it is an honor, and a few of you have been a part of this. I think the last time I was here was a short 8 years ago, talking about impact fees. Let's get the PowerPoint up, and there we go. Thank you. When I started giving this a little thought last week, I thought I could just get up here and give you a quick overview, and I said, no, let me put together a little bit of a PowerPoint, and as always the case, I kept adding and adding to try to be as complete as possible. So I'll ask your indulgence to look at this, although I'm not going to go through it word for word. I did feel like those of you who could read faster than I could speak could get an idea that nothing has essentially changed in the last 8 years from the effort that we put into trying to create a transportation impact fees. We still have a situation where government is being asked to do more and more with less and less. It's virtually impossible to get the electorate to approve major bond issues these days, and impact fees have continued to be a very favored mechanism to prepare communities and provide for new infrastructure on a pay-as-you-go basis. Development, right now, if you go to a normal city that doesn't have impact fees or county or parish, what happens is you have a big development, and you'll take a development to your Department of Public Works, your Planning Commission, and they'll look at a development and they'll make a decision in terms of what that developer should pay to deal with the impact that that development is going to have on the area, on the parish, and the like. Those are called exactions, extractions. They're typically negotiated. They're hugely subjective. They tend to be, unfortunately, political. If you know somebody in a town, you're a local person trying to do a project, it may be easier for you to get it done because you know the folks involved as opposed to somebody coming out. For one of those reasons, in terms of the subjectivity of negotiating an extraction, which is exactly what the Kuntz case that has been talked about so much over the last 3 months, that case is a perfect example of why communities have impact fees, where you had a person with a 14-acre piece of property trying to get a permit to do a development, saying that he would like to only develop 4 acres, and the governing body said, no, you can only develop 1, and we want you to dedicate your remaining property to us. or you can develop 3, and we want you to spend a whole bunch of money improving ditches, canals, and culverts on a piece of property owned by the drainage district. Supreme Court said you can't do that. So what is an impact fee? It's a one-time upfront payment that's levied against new development, only if you're building something new, and it's only paid one time on new development. It's only for a new or expanded capacity for that, and it has to be in relation to that particular development in a specific geographic area. So one of the big benefits of impact fees is that you can take a parish and divide it into districts, and the impact fees that are generated within that district are redeployed in that district as opposed to parish-wide. And I'll get into that in a little more detail. The premise of impact fees is that a development should pay for the capacity that that development is going to consume. All right? So if you look at transportation and you have an existing road that is right at a level of service at B, it has plenty of capacity. It has plenty of ability for development to be constructed along that road. However, a large development comes in and consumes a good bit of that existing capacity. The whole basis of an impact fee is to have that development replace that capacity and to pay a fee that is related to the impact of that development on that road or on that drainage system or in that school system or the like. It's predictable. It is a formulaic equation. There's certainty. There is no subjectivity involved. And folks who are going to do a development can go in knowing what it's going to cost as opposed to the typical negotiating process. It is not a tax. And you'll have people who are against impact fees come and say it's a tax. There are impact fees all over the country. The issue of tax has been settled for 40 years, and it is not a tax if you have an ordinance that's properly drafted and you have a technical study in place. It is not a funding source for operating expenses. It's only for capital improvements. And you as a government body can decide just what improvements you want to allow the fee to be paid for. It cannot be used for existing deficiencies. It cannot repay you for infrastructure you've put in place, even if you had done it after the impact fee was enacted. That would have been okay. So you can't cure past sins, and you can't reimburse yourself for something that you've done to include additional capacity. Impact fees have been used for a wide variety. Mostly you see for transportation, drainage, sewer, and the like, but water, fire, law enforcement, libraries, parks, education facilities, solid waste, correction, recreation. It's been used for enormous variety of uses and governmental services. And if you take Broward County in Florida, they have 11 different impact fees in many of these areas above. You have to have a technical study. The core component of an impact fee, the golden rule, is that there has to be a proportional return for those who are paying the fee and the benefit that they receive. You can't just decide, I'm going to put in a fee and it's $500 a house. All right? There has to be a basis for that everybody who is paying is getting a benefit, that there's a connectivity, a nexus between the two. That's what differentiates it from a tax. All right? That one thing changes it from a tax, that I have to pay a tax for libraries. We pass a parish-wide tax. It makes no difference that I go to a library. It makes no difference where the library is. Unless you create a special library district, if you're going to pass it parish-wide, I have to pay it. And the consequence of everybody having to pay it is that you have to vote on it, and that's a tax. When you deal with an impact fee, you're looking at the impact of new development, and there is a technical calculation of what the cost is to the community for that development to consume that capacity, and that's done through a technical study. The parish hired in 2005 Duncan and Associates. This was before I got involved, and it was a great decision. They're the leading firm in the country, still today, doing that. They've done over 340 impact fee studies, and they did a great job looking at the parish and preparing a study that goes into, they evaluate what the existing inventory is for transportation. What's the service levels that you want? Where do you want to maintain it? What demand is there? What is the growth potential? They do a complete analysis to come up with a recommended cost per type of development to pay. And this next slide is so important. Now remember, if somebody has a house today and they sell that house and somebody buys it, there's no impact fee. All right? If somebody's going to expand their house, unless you're going to remodel in a way that it's going to be far larger, there is no impact fee. It's only on new construction, and there are some exemptions. But what you do is you take through this study, they analyze what a single-family house, a normal house, what impact does that family have on roads. You can slice it and dice it, which, for example, St. Tammany, East Baton Rouge Parish, and others, by the size of the house. Why? Because the bigger the house, the more people and the more cars. All right? And the same type of calculation is done with commercial. You look at a retail. It's 10,000 square feet. There's a calculation of a certain dollar amount per 1,000 square feet. And the larger the retail, the bigger the impact, the more cars, the more you pay. Very, very formal, very calculated, and they do that all the way through number of hotel rooms, number of seats in theaters, and the like. How prevalent is this use? There are over 25,000 impact fees all over the country. There are 25 states that have formalized how they wish impact fees to be enacted within the state. All right? Louisiana is not one of them. Okay? We do not have a statute at the state level enabling impact fees. However, under your normal powers, home rule, you are authorized to impose an impact fee. You don't need the state to authorize you to do so. Interestingly, the village of Folsom did go forward, and they have special legislation to authorize an impact fee. And somebody has asked, and over the years, well, why don't we do it? Well, you could. If you want to go through the trouble and be unique and ask the legislature for special authority, of course you can. However, impact fees have been in St. Tammany Parish, East Baton Rouge Parish, and others for years. There hasn't been one single attack of those those impact fees, and I want to give you one distinction between St. Tammany, for example, and East Baton Rouge Parish, but they have been in place, and no one has attacked them because they know that that is a valid use of your police power. This is an example of what St. Tammany's impact fees are today. I want to tell you that typically impact fees, this study is renewed on a 5-year basis. Every 5 years you go back and look at it. Duncan Associates did the original study, and in January their council voted to reduce their impact fees for transportation and drainage based on a new study. And why was that? Population growths were different, all right? Cost of construction were different. Cost of the amount of development had gone down considerably, so the assumptions in the original report had changed. So this right now is what you see in St. Tammany Parish. Someone has asked me, well, what does this mean to us in dollars? Times-Picayune, in their report on St. Tammany, had in their report, which you can look, $7.5 million going into roads since the enactment of their impact fee 5 years earlier, and $7.3 million going into drainage. Keep in mind, you cannot use that money to cure past sins, but it's money available to provide additional capacity to address development. East Baton Rouge Parish has it for transportation and drainage. St. Tammany did it by ordinance, which is what was proposed for you guys 7 years ago. East Baton Rouge Parish doesn't have even an ordinance. It was done by executive order of the mayor. All right? So they went one step even further removed from what you normally see is an ordinance created. The mayor, through DPW, imposed the transportation fee, which has been in place for 4 years in East Baton Rouge Parish. I know this is a little hard to read, but these are somewhat of the positives and what the typical opposition is to impact fees. A developer is normally paying and should be paying for its impact. This is a way to get away from this negotiated type of situation. It levels the playing field. All right, you have a big developer who's doing a 200-lot development, all right, and your DPW or Planning Commission is saying, okay, you need to give us right away, you need to pay for this, you need to change the signal. Okay, well, they're having to do it because it's one big development. But you get hit with this all day long with 5-lot developments and 10-lot developments. They pay nothing. All right? And you find yourself with these single street developments that people have put in with 20 or 30 lots, and they pay nothing toward the capacity that they have consumed. They would have to do this and levels the playing field where everybody is being treated proportionally. It's predictable. The communities receive the money so that they can use the money for planning ahead of time instead of being forced to do stuff retroactively. On the opposition side, you always hear it's a tax, and the law is different. But nevertheless, you're going to hear it's a tax and people should vote on it. You'll hear it's more expensive to develop. I would agree with that. Yes, it is. But typically what happens, and there have been studies that have shown this, where you have impact fees, property values have gone up. So that usually the studies show that somewhere between 30 to 40% more value is given to properties within an area that they have impact fees than the cost of the impact fee. And the reason is simple. You know when you're moving into that area, there's money being collected to make sure that you're addressing future congestion and issues of drainage and the like. Folks are going to say it adds red tape, more bureaucracy, and there certainly is more accountability involved, but at the same time, the result is millions of dollars that can be plowed back into a particular district for impact fees. As I mentioned, it's a fee based on this nexus and connectivity. It has been, there are guidelines set by the U.S. Supreme Court for the last 30 years that you have to follow. Which you do in terms of this report and having an ordinance, which I have provided you with a copy of what we had before. The prime situation, and I have to take your parish because it's a great example. You have a situation where money, an impact fee, would be assessed for development in Prairieville. All right? And that money would be taken out of the Prairieville area and used for improvements across the river. You can't do that. The folks who are paying that do not get the benefit from their impact fee by having improvements done across the river. However, you could say that the folks across the river in Donaldsonville would greatly be benefited by improvements between Donaldsonville and the interstate. That folks would go across the bridge to I-10, and so improvements in that area would be a benefit. And that's why before you're going to see what we proposed in terms of 3 districts for the parish, which may be subject to change now because it has been 7 or 8 years. There is an AG opinion with the city of Baker that had their attempt to have an impact fee for sewer, and what they proposed, the AG said would not be an impact fee. What were they doing? They were trying to impose a fee to reimburse themselves for sewer improvements that had already been put in, and they wanted it, by their own language, to improve and maintain their existing sewer system. Well, that wasn't an impact fee, all right? And the basis for it was another opinion where what was supposed to be an impact fee coming out of the Department of Insurance was struck down, where the then Commissioner of Insurance said, I want to have insurers pay a fee to the Department of Insurance based on the amount of money or the insurance that they write in the state. Well, there's no connectivity to that. What benefit did I get? And it was all going to the operations of the Department of Insurance. So that was struck down. This is a list of what gets included in your ordinance, and there are very, very specific guidelines. I've provided you with what we proposed 7 or 8 years ago, which I have to tell you was enormously conservative. The then administration very correctly put together a diverse group of people in the community, builders, developers, engineers, architects, citizens, interests, and we worked, and there were 14 drafts of this ordinance to try to come to a consensus to deal with issues dealing with the alternatives that you have available to you. For example, and the most important one is who pays it and when, okay? Some communities, amazingly, that if you file a final plat for a subdivision, and that can be residential or commercial, when you get approval to develop what was your raw land for a commercial use, you pay it then. Well, that's not fair. That could be a paper development. The times could change. Not a single lot could be sold. That makes no sense. But believe it or not, that's okay if that would be a decision. That was not a recommendation. The second one, okay, you have a lot. Somebody wants to do a 10,000 square foot retail building. So they pull a building permit. Well, that's one of the most favored places that the impact fee is collected. It's simple. You're getting a building permit, you're going to build something, and the community needs the money to get ahead of what you're building. All right? Well, clearly, builders don't like that. They don't want to be in a position of having to pay a fee when they pull a building permit or the commercial developer, because they don't have anything yet. It hasn't opened yet. It's just an additional cost that I have to finance or I have to pay until I get some revenue. So what was recommended here a short 7 years ago would be the fee would be paid when the certificate of occupancy was issued. And the idea being somebody was going to occupy it, the impact was going to happen. It wasn't a situation where this 10,000 square foot retail building wasn't going to be leased, okay? It was built, but the economy turned and wasn't going to be leased. Well, now with a certificate of occupancy, the idea was that was a good time to collect. You can have exemptions. I don't like a lot of exemptions because then you get closer to the flame where it's not being evenly imposed upon the community. But you can have alterations and you can have minimum amounts of changes to upgrade and expand. You can have replacements of buildings if destroyed, publicly owned buildings, although there are some communities that actually charge an impact fee on public buildings. The community, if you're going to have a public library, that's an impact, and the public library has to pay the fee, which is kind of an interesting area. You could decide that there's an area in the community where there's excessive capacity. You have roads that are underutilized. You could waive the fee to have development in those areas where there's a capacity as opposed to areas where they're not. There's accounting. You have to separately have the money segregated in each district. The money can only be deployed in that district. There's audits. There's a 5-year renewal. There's opportunities for someone to appeal the fee and bring it whether to you or the Planning Commission and say, look, I know it says that if I have a certain square footage of retail, I'm supposed to pay this fee, but the nature of the retail isn't going to generate that type of impact. Let me pay less. There are excluded expenses. Those you should look at. These are the items that you cannot use an impact fee for. We provided a draft back in 2006. It's in front of you. One of the other things, it was transportation only, and one of the other things I thought we did in a nice way to be conservative is that we had an effective date that gave it was to be passed with an effective date that was at that time 9 months away, to let anybody who had any thought of doing anything file for their building permit, and if they got their building permit, they were going to be excluded from having to pay an impact fee. Because people who may have had pro formas and plans and budgets, we did not want to impair them. So the idea was we would only make it effective 9 months away from when you passed it. And then for the next year, it would only be 75%. That could be 50%. It could be 22%. It could be whatever you want. And then only after the following year would it be fully imposed. This was what was in the original proposal by Duncan on your impact fee for Ascension Parish. Every one of those numbers is lower than what's in St. Tammany after they reduced it by 30%. All right? Again, very conservative in terms of what was being proposed. Those are the districts. And quickly, my recommendation, if this is something that the council would like to pursue, and by the way, I'm here by invitation. This is not a pitch. I'm not here to solicit any sort of legal work, but merely to kind of get those of you who have not been exposed to this some information, so kind of get you thinking. And there will be no pop quiz after this. But I do think it was a very good thing in the prior administration to get a group of citizens together as kind of a group working on this, and very diverse. You need the builders, you need the developers and folks who would have to deal with this, as well as community activists, chambers, and the like. Start the process again. This report that was done in 2006, it's not any good. You would have had to revise it anyway. I would suggest you get Duncan back in, let them take a look at it, let them look at the fee amount, let them look at the districts again, and then take another look at the ordinance that, you know, again, is a great starting point for the community. We spent over a year going back and forth trying to get something that would be appropriate for the community. What happened? We were dealing with the Attorney General's office because some of the council wanted to get an Attorney General's opinion because of the then uncertainty of whether you could impose an impact fee. So we were dealing with the Attorney General's office, and they had questions about the number of districts and whether it was appropriate for the Attorney General to opine on the districts, which is understandable. They're not experts. They don't have that data and understand how to interpret it to come up with a district. So we were in the process of these districts. Is it 3? Is it 4? Again, East Baton Rouge Parish is 1. Tammany is 1. And then the council, as a few of you know, took this up and decided not to pursue it. So I'm happy to answer any questions. Again, I know I've gone a little bit longer than probably any of you wanted, but nevertheless, I want to try to do a little bit of a data dump on you.
Thank you, Charles, so
Sure.
much, and I do think there are questions.
Sure.
Yeah,
Councilman
Charles, I
Lambert?
was here 7 years ago, and I know that we had a lot of opposition when it came in front of us then. But to have one district, I could see that maybe working, because I don't think you're gonna get enough funding if you split it up into so many districts. There's only certain projects you can do, like you said before. You can only use for new development.
Right.
Or something that's not needed. Can't repair a road with it. If that road needed a turn lane, you shouldn't, we knew it needed a turn lane, you can't use that money for that.
That's right.
So you're limited on what you can use that money for. So if you district it out, to get enough money to do a development or do a project, it's gonna take the whole district to do one little project over here on this corner.
That is
Say on the
the,
top corner up here.
that's the dilemma. When all these impact fees started 30 years ago, they read the Supreme Court decision, and they talked about the nexus, and they divided counties into 20 districts, and they all failed. There wasn't enough money in those individual districts. Then the Supreme Court said, well, you can do a project between districts, but it has to be balanced. And that's the balance between what
But-
East Baton Rouge Parish and St.
But then
Tammany.
vice versa, doing it with one district, you're gonna be worse, because there are gonna be some individuals that pay these impact fees that may never hit that part of the parish.
That's the problem.
Never hit it, never ride on it, never.
That's the problem.
Use it for any reason.
And that's why the leaning today is the bigger the district you can support, the better.
That's the only way that's the only way you're gonna have enough funding to actually do a major project.
You have hit why it is so important to get these consultants in to figure out what the limits are in terms of avoiding the person who is on one end of the parish arguing that they paid this impact fee and it's being used over here.
And a lot of opposition came with who was actually gonna pay this impact fee. And then bottom line is the residents, homeowners that's gonna be buying new homes, business people that's gonna be building new business. That's who's actually gonna foot the bill.
No question.
Developer is not gonna pay, he cannot pay the full amount. So it's gonna be just carried over to whoever buys that home or business that he builds.
No question that. and-
So everything will go up. Your homes will go up. It's just something that was the big opposition that we had 7 years ago. I can remember it clearly
Oh, I do too.
because it was lengthy.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Councilman Lohr.
Charles, thank you so much for the very informative presentation, and if you're willing, I certainly would appreciate being able to reference it, if you don't mind.
Oh, absolutely,
Okay, very good.
absolutely.
I just wanted to go ahead and say that I'm firmly in support of pursuing this further. I think impact fees are something that has long been needed, and I wish we had those in the past when we experienced the first boom, I'll call it, that we've been going through in Ascension. I think we would have been millions of dollars further along with some of our road projects. But our job is to look at the future, and I keep thinking all these plant announcements on top of our already growth patterns that are already in effect. We will be extremely remiss if we don't address this issue now, before our parish is the size of St. Tammany, who we are very often compared to. I think they are farther along on some things because they planned ahead and they dealt with this tough issue. And I've heard some of the concerns, and I know there will be some as far as the increased costs and things of that nature. But I think when people are considering purchasing a house, you got to look at the net impact to that. If it's $195,000 or $196,000, a few dollars a month on their mortgage bill, I'm not sure that people will necessarily feel that, and I think they'll be more happy when they buy the house and they can get out because there's a turn lane up the street or there's signalization improvements. So I think that the positives far outweigh the negatives. I'm very interested in restarting this up, meeting with the members of the community. I know we've had some initial discussions, Council Chairwoman, Finance Chair Terry and I early on with some of the builders, and I'm looking at restarting that, and I appreciate, Charles, this effort, and I'd like to encourage this council to move forward. Thank you.
Councilman Shake Snyder.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, Charles, for coming.
You're very
And
well.
I too was here with Todd before, and I agree with Todd on some of the things about the districts. It's hard to draw that and get an impact. Couple things, there was some opposition, but there was 7 out of 11 councilmen that agreed with them as something to do. So that was a majority at that time. You had to have 8 to get a supermajority to actually pass that on. I'm thinking about a couple things. Fairness. I've been on the council going 10 years now, and the biggest thing I've heard as I go throughout the parish is from people that live here, people that have moved in and see other people moved in. They said, very thing that people say is the people that move in to cause the problem needs to pay. Everybody thinks that's fair. And this is the best tool we have to make those people that have that impact pay. And it not only makes the 200-house subdivision pay or 800-house subdivision that ends up having enough to put a turn lane, but it also has the ability to make these 20 10-house subdivisions pay eventually an equal amount whenever they get an equal. So all of that is divided up so that whatever impact you have, you pay that percentage. So it's fair. As I said, on a $200,000 house, you pay less than $2,000, so it's less than 1%. I believe the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. Lord knows nobody wants to see an increase in fees or anything that increases this or any type of monies being raised by someone. But the fact of the matter is, as you increase, there's no doubt, as you increase the population, you need greater road capacity. End of story. We can pass a tax for everybody to do that, or we can impose an impact fee for the people that have increased the capacity. It's not going to solve our problems. Don't think for a second that if impact fees are passed, that the traffic problem goes away in Ascension Parish. By far, it won't. It will give a few added tools to people that are trying to help alleviate some of these problems. But it will not go away. And but I think it's a start of something that allows the parish to get some tools to move forward with this. I also believe that once you do this, and people know up front what they're going to have to do, whether it be developers or homeowners or whatever, it's a lot easier to come in than to have that uncertainty. And for homeowners that are already here to go to a planning and zoning and fight against, having to fight against the new development that comes in because of the increase in traffic, and 99 times out of 100, there's no money that's put up for road improvements. And so it gives the people that are here a chance to get some benefit. And, you know, it's on new residences and new businesses. And I don't see a decrease in the amount of people coming in for areas that do have this. So unfortunately, I think that is, this may be one of the best things that we can do to move forward in what we have. And I would support going forward and looking into it more and try to work out these the issues that you presented, whatever negatives they are. I think we have a long way to go, but I would like to see this move forward down the road and see you know, what's the possibilities of getting something that's not as good as St. Tammany, not as good as Baton Rouge, but better than all of them, because we want to make this as fair as all possible for people. So I'll lend my support to that.
Councilman.
Mr. Shakes, let me make one
Surely,
comment.
Charles.
One thing you have to think about impact fees as opposed to a tax, you don't have any option with a tax. If it passes, you're paying it. An impact fee is totally voluntary. People don't think of it that way, but it's totally voluntary. You don't, if you're buying, you don't have to buy a new house. You can buy an existing house. You can, and you don't pay the impact fee. An impact fee is only paid by those people who want to pay it. It's not mandatory. You have an option, you have an alternative. You can stay in your house, you can move across the street, where a tax, which you're correct, you're never going to, you can't solve all your problems with this. This is just the start. A tax, everybody has to pay it regardless of the benefit that they derive from it.
Councilman Satterley.
Thank you, Madam Chairman. I also want to thank you, Mr. Landry, for coming. I wasn't here with Kent or with Todd in 2007, so this is really useful for me. I have a very simple question. I'm not sure if all what went on back then, and the package is very voluminous at this point. The 3 districts, 1, 2, and 3. I oversee District 4, which is up there in the Prairie View area, and I'm pretty sure back in 2006 it was pretty dense, because I know I've lived there for 20 years, and it's worse now. We have massive, no exaggeration, traffic jams and so forth. Can this be used as a tool, impact fees per se, to encourage, or this is my question, or discourage development in areas? So for example, if we passed ordinances and we said it's this much for a single home and this much for a business and so forth, for all of the purposes, roads, sewerage, drainage, I saw your laundry list. And let's say up in District 1 where Prairieville is, it's very dense, and maybe we might want to slow down a little bit. So the fee would be maybe higher in terms of an impact fee than in 3, where it's the southern part of the parish on the east bank, and of course Donaldsonville on the west bank. Or is it such to where there's court restrictions or otherwise it says when you have the fee period, it just has to be for the whole parish?
That is correct. It is the latter. You set the fee, and that's where the fee is going to be across the whole parish. There can be exceptions, as I said, for certain uses. You can create incentives for certain areas that you want to encourage economic development, so that you're waiving or reducing a fee in a certain area, but you can't twist that the other way.
I see.
Where there's a higher fee in just one area.
So it can be getting, as I just understood it, creative like it. Okay. The other thing is, though, you mentioned past sins, and I think it's a real appropriate use of words. So in areas where we have not used infrastructure guided growth as a guiding principle, and we did overdevelop, which is Prairieville in my mind, we really can't do a whole lot about that.
No, but I've heard that comment, and I hate to be so direct, and many of you know I'm very direct. That's almost a defeatist kind of way of looking at it. I think this is a good start to make sure it doesn't get worse.
Oh, well, let me be clear.
Yeah.
My even though I'm a newcomer, my knee jerk is I'm really intrigued by this,
Yeah.
and I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to support impact fees like Kent's talked about and others. In fact, I'll be honest, I'm a little disappointed, and I hope I'm not stepping on a lot of toes, that Duncan went through what they did, you went through what you did, and I'm looking at, in one study, 2006, was that 7 years ago, and then the draft document you handed us out, 2007, that's at least 6. Too bad we didn't move forward, frankly. That's just my opinion right now, unless I'm open-minded if someone can convince me otherwise. My knee-jerk would be, yay, impact fees.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're quite welcome.
Councilman Lambert.
Yeah, one more big opposition we had back then, and you know, where there's rooftops, we need businesses coming in our parish. A 10,000 square foot business at the time was going to cost them an extra $20,000 in impact fees. Them that probably would have deterred a lot of businesses from coming into our parish, which our parish has grown tremendously with the sales tax of businesses. Look down Highway 30, look in 73, where y'all talking about. The sales tax has grown tremendously. But if we would have had these impact fees and these big 50,000 square foot businesses come in, having to pay these, they would have deterred somewhere. They didn't have to come here. Just like you say, you have an option. You don't have to build here in Ascension Parish. Right. You can go to Livingston Parish and build your business. You can go somewhere else that doesn't have impact fees and build your, and still make a. So that was a big opposition on the business part of it.
And I-
That was one thing I wanted to bring up.
No, I agree. And let me, again, Mr. Lambert was very involved in this, very active and focused on this. So I'm kind of preaching to the choir here, but let me, my job at that time and as is today, I'm not here to promote impact fees. That's your decision. That's a policy decision. I'm here to tell you what your options are, and based on what your decisions are, how to proceed. But somebody will stand up here within the next 90 days when you start this exercise, and they're going to say, here is a list, and it's Mr. Lambert's point, here's a list of 25 communities that have a moratorium on impact fees. All right? And the reason for that is their communities are in the ditch. And it's an easy way to create an incentive, in their view, to entice businesses and development into their communities, having come out of what we've seen for the last 3 years. All right? When we were talking about the impact fee, that was certainly not the situation. I mean, we were exploding, the economy is exploding, which I'm happy to say I think we're on the verge of that happening again. But Mr. Lambert is right that an impact fee does create additional cost on new development. And you have to decide as a policy matter whether it's more important to have that development pay that additional cost to offset those expenses or not. That's it. And if they don't, somebody has to do it. And right now, that somebody is everybody, or it's not getting done.
Yes, I'd like to call on Councilman Shea Snyder again.
Real quick, exactly what Councilman Lambert said, that's exactly the whole idea of the thing. To me, people that come in, pay. That's the whole idea. If you want to come in Ascension Parish, pay for the transportation increase, or go somewhere else. And I don't want to say that, sound that callous, but what has happened is for too long, we've allowed people to come into this parish without paying anything, and it's created a situation that is becoming unmanageable. And the downside is that those very businesses that would like to operate and do very well is you can't get to them. And so every time we go to a planning and zoning meeting with a new subdivision or new development, the same people that come in says, we don't want these people to come here because they're not paying. The very same people that now we're offering an opportunity to have these new people come in and pay something, pay their share, that's for all the people that have come and said, hold up, let's step back a little bit. Let's have new development pay for some of their costs. I mean, it's not going to be all of it. And then the other thing, in a very short period of time, we've increased this parish to 100,000 people. That's not stopping. Prairieville is not going to just stop tomorrow with development. And the rest of the parish, we're going to have another 100,000 in a very short period of time. And so it's going to be new people with new houses and new businesses. We can either have them join in and help pay for the infrastructure increases that are incurred by all of us that live here, or we can bear the brunt of it ourselves. And that's the choice we have to make. So please understand, I agree with Councilman Lambert that it's going to be a burden for the new people that come in, but I also want to state that that's the whole idea. And so I think that's very important. The people that live here, the people that grew up here, the people that live in a house will not have to pay for new people that move in or new businesses that move in. And that's very, very important. I think we need to take care of the people that have been here.
Charles, I know you're dying to get out of here, and I appreciate so much your time this evening.
Glad to be here. Thank you.
Thank you. Gentlemen, I thank you for the interesting discussion on this matter. I want to continue. Last year, we began some discussions with members of the community, members of the real estate community, members, some developers, and I'm going to recharge those discussions, and so I'll be in touch. And those of you who would like to participate in those discussions, please feel free to let me know that you would like to be in on those discussions, and I will make sure that you're there. This is a commitment that I made when I came to the chair here, that we would discuss and learn and be educated about impact fees and what they might mean in our community, both to our citizens and to those people who want to do business or who want to live here. And so in light of that, Charles was invited to be here tonight. I am extremely grateful to him, and I look forward to continued work toward our accomplished goal here, which is to see if impact fees are something that we need to do in Ascension Parish. Moving along, I'm going to take the chair's liberty here and ask that item number 7 be moved up to item number 6 and number 6 become number 7. In order, out of respect for Mr. Mert Smiley, who has come and asked to speak to us, our assessor. Thank you, Mert.
Thank you very much. I really appreciate being here tonight. And the reason I'm here is very simple. I'm asking for your assistance. If you assist me, I will be able to do my job, and my job is to assist all other entities that collect ad valorem tax. So it's very important that we work together and get this project done, because what it'll do, it'll get you a lot of money in a very short period of time. And just want to go over a few things. First of all, my election was in November of 2011. I didn't take office till January of 2013. Had 2 birthdays before I took office. Very seldom does that happen in any other elected office. Matter of fact, it's the only office that occurs in. The previous assessor was kind enough to let me take office, was kind enough to hire me in May of 2012, which I really appreciated, because that really gave me a lot of time to look at the operations of the office and to see what I could do to actually make this office a much more efficient and effective office. I'd like to publicly thank Renee Michel for allowing me to take office, actually go to work with her early, and for a smooth transition, because I know 2 other assessors that really didn't have a smooth transition. They weren't able to get into the office until that particular day, so it was very tough on them. They had a lot of learning to do. So I want to thank her publicly again. During this time, I noticed that many changes had to be made, and that time allowed me to formulate a plan that I think would work for the citizens of Ascension Parish. The first thing I noticed when I took office is, of course, Ascension is always rated as the fastest growing parish, or the second fastest growing parish in the state. And I noticed we only had 2 field deputies, to actually go out and to locate, measure, and value the transactions of the assessor's office. Just for your information, there's over 38,000 residential buildings and over 2,400 commercial buildings, and a total of 51,000 parcels of land in Ascension Parish that your assessor has to overlook. So it's a lot of work, and we just need to make sure that we have the proper tools to do it. The assessor's office commercial and industrial division, which of course y'all all know how many businesses and how many plants and things that we have here, we only had 1 person to do that job. And that was just eye-opening to me. So, you know, we made sure that we have that job covered now, but still we need extra tools to help us with our job. The next thing I noticed that the website was very inadequate, and it did not allow the citizens to actually have a proper and full disclosure of public information. The assessor's office did not have any type of scanning of our important documents, so that is something that we implemented as soon as I took office. The next thing was a major problem. Can you imagine taking office and in less than 3 months all of your servers melt? Well, that's what happened to us, and it caused a great problem, and we had to use a lot of our monies to correct that problem. The computers in the office, they're all outdated. And we definitely need to get new computers so that we can do our job properly. The previous assessor purchased a CAMA system, which is a really good system, but the problem was it was not utilized. They weren't utilizing the system because they didn't have the correct data that you're supposed to put in the system to make it operate properly. So basically it was not being used at its capacity. The thing that really concerned me is the mapping system was very cumbersome and difficult to navigate, and it took up a tremendous amount of our server space. That's one of the reasons that our server did crash. The reason I mention all of this is to let you know we are working to correct all of these problems so that we can do our job properly. During the campaign, I mentioned that many properties were not on the tax roll. One of the first things I did was I actually hired additional field people to go out and do a sections program. They actually went out to every house in that section. They measured the houses. They got with the owners to find out how they were using their property. And they also found out that a lot of properties weren't on the books, just like I said in the campaign. After the completion of just the first section, we noticed that about 15 to 17% of the properties were not on the books. And that amounts to a tremendous amount of money. The field deputies, I asked them to go out into different sections throughout the parish just to make sure that these numbers were not an anomaly, to make sure that these numbers were consistent throughout the parish. And also with talking to other assessors that took over a situation like I did, they said that those numbers would be pretty true no matter where you go. And of course, one of the companies that we're talking about hiring to do the aerial photography also told us that these numbers run true just about everywhere that they do it. So that's a lot of places that are not on the book. So what we want to do is make sure that their residents are on the books to make sure everybody's treated fairly and equitably. The only problem is, by doing it the way that I'm doing it right now, it's going to take 5 to 6 years to do. And every entity of government right now needs extra dollars. I mean, we've heard people already up here, and we're going to hear some more people come after us saying that they need additional funds to operate. So this is a way that we can get you additional funds, you and all the other entities of government, and that's funds that are fairly done. I mean, it's no reason on earth that your neighbor should not be on the tax rolls when you are. I can tell you this, the 85% of the people that are paying right now, they are glad that their assessor is out doing this. So this is something that I think the public would be in favor of. And the purpose of this meeting is very simple. I'm asking you to help fund these improvements, which will expedite you receiving the monies. I have with me my Chief Deputy, Justin Champlin. I'd like for him to come up and talk to you about the technical aspects of our program. He's been very instrumental in getting all the facts and figures for us. So if you'll indulge us, let him go over this. And after he finishes, we'll be glad to answer any questions.
Justin, we thank you for coming.
Thank you for inviting me. I appreciate the opportunity to come before y'all tonight to discuss what we're looking at here. One of the things that we looked at from the technical side, we talked to, really it kind of got presented to us in many different fashions from other assessors, saying, the benefits and how well received the technology was used in their own parish. And St. James has used this, Lafayette, St. Tammany. You go on to the list of those that are even looking at doing this, and many other rural parishes have started joining into this, to what we're looking at. And so we started searching into it. We started meeting with companies, started meeting with, how can we do this too? And one of the companies that really it's a sole source situation is Pictometry. Pictometry is an aerial imagery company that their whole purpose is that they fly over the parish, create oblique and ortho imagery, where they basically, they get the top-down version of from aerial imagery and also the sides. Their technology is they actually make the cameras for USGS. I mean, they're the ones that provide their own sole cameras there. They have 4 different patents and information, that they can provide that nobody else can. And this is technology that's also already been done in the parish itself. It was done in 2010 through aerial imagery through the Office of Homeland Security grant. That was actually a time where they not only did Ascension, but they did all the surrounding parishes at one time just for the purpose of Homeland Security. We're looking at expanding that technology by having another flyover in 2014 where they will actually collect the building outlines of all the improvements in the parish at one time. And with the Change Finder software, they'll actually be able to take even the additions, and we'll be able to see the additions since 2010. Well, what's unique about it is that by taking aerial imagery in a top-down version and getting the square footage, you can generate the square footage of a building. But we can go a little further with that. And this is success that many other companies have gone to bring in and wrap this thing together, is that there's another company that we've been working with, that we've worked with in the past, and we've acquired their software. We haven't really used it. It's a sketching company called Apex. And really this would be an upgrade for us, because we're going to ask for them to come back in and actually take that building outline sketch with the imagery, and they can carve out the non-living area from the living area from the imagery. This is something that's been done in other parishes. There was one parish where they did 45,000 parcels just for this carving out of the non-living area in 45 days. So this is not something that is tremendous. It can be done within 1 year. It's possible. By the time we get the flight, get the building outline, and get it sketched properly, it is possible for us to do this in 1 year. And it's going to be something that we can do, but it's going to take a little time, a little effort, and a little help from everybody. And what's also unique is that Apex already works with our current assessor system, database system, and it can integrate into our system currently. We're in the process of upgrading our, which is the CAMA is Computer Assisted Mass Appraisal. In other words, we can generate information from a statistical analysis standpoint and work with that in a more common fashion to generate fair and equitable values across the board for everyone at one time. And but we're going to have to take into consideration different areas, different plants. We're already working those items into our design and to our system. So this is a possible item, but the uniqueness of this is it's been tried and true in parish after parish. Pictometry has flown over 1/3 of the counties and parishes in this United States of America. I mean, this is not something that is just unique and that we're asking that hadn't been done before. I mean, the whole state of New Mexico has asked, the state government of New Mexico has required every single county to do this. And this is something, I mean, every magazine I pick up from assessors, it's GIS integration with your CAMA. And it's working, working, and working. And every time they do it, they find the results are found, because you can't hide the information from the aerial imagery. And to capture the accurate data, it's a huge data collection at one time. And this is not something we're doing to revalue and reassess properties right now. We're looking at it to add on what's missing. And we know that what we've found over and over again, the numbers are staggering. You know, the information that we even found even this year by physically going out there and looking at it, I mean, it's unreal. You know, the amount that we've found, and that's why we've come to the council. We've gone to other entities of government. We've gone to the school board. We're going to the sheriff. We're going to the levy districts. We're going to the town of Sorrento. We're going to the city of Donaldsonville, to the city of Gonzales. We're going to all to contribute, you know, into one big. We're just asking for the help, you know, and if you can commit to the parish's portion, you know, we're also looking to expand. You know, we believe that the return on investment is going to be huge, and we know that it's going to be there, but it's by doing the job the right way, and it's a way to do our job in a more modern and efficient manner, so that we believe that we can do our job 10 times better than we can do it right now.
Mert, do you want to add anything?
No, that's basically the program
program that we have.
All right. Do we have any questions, gentlemen?
Can we have a quick summary of exactly what are you looking at out of the parish for us?
The total amount that was listed for the parish purposes, the library's already agreed to pay their portion separately. The total numbers for the parish's portion is $40,000, and that is that would be there. Now, also, and I forgot about one item, is that we've also requested to have access to the Esri software that exists in the existing Esri license with the parish, which can be done right now at no additional cost through the Esri contract, and also that we would look at agreeing to pay a portion of the labor for the mapping and actually try to integrate and consolidate our mapping with the GIS unit here in the parish, and that's through the Office of Technology. And if even if you'd like to. We've had many discussions on how we could work together to make that. I don't know if you'd like to ask him any questions either, Mr. Brandon O'Day.
Mr. President, and Mr. President, I owe you a public apology for neglecting to call on you during our last discussion. I'm so sorry.
No problem.
I just did not see
I
you.
just wanted to alert you that you skipped item 2, 3, and 4. You didn't call roll any of that stuff.
Oh, well, we were in a hurry.
Anyway,
Thing is, I think the drainage board will have to be separate. And I think you've included it here in the total of the 41,000. So I think you'll have to
That's fine.
get them to
We have no
also approve. So
That's what we can do. Put it on next.
We have no problems doing that.
Councilman Lohr?
I just want to follow up on what Justin was alluding to with the Esri software. I appreciate the ongoing conversations that we have had with the assessor and parish president, Justin, Brandon, over our IT department regarding that. And you'll see it come before the next finance committee meeting. I know they're all working on drafting the CEA right now. But basically, we're talking about $10,000 over the course, or every year for 3 years. And I think this is just a great example of working together and expanding the interconnectivity between governmental agencies. And I want to applaud the assessor for coming forward with this and bringing this initiative forward, because I think it's frankly something we should be doing as a parish all over the place. I mean, we could be selling our services in terms of technology, which hopefully this agreement with the Esri software will be the beginning of that. But there's a lot of areas where we could be doing that, and I think I was thinking about it during the strategic planning committee meeting around the adjudicated properties that we're looking at, basically doing the same kind of thing. We'll be able to, if we get that ball rolling, there's cost sharing involved with that, but everybody benefits. I think a rising tide lifts all boats, and I'll be in support of this. Thank you.
Madam Chairman, it's one thing I want to mention that we didn't mention. This company, Pictometry, told me something that was very interesting. They told us if we have any natural disaster after they do this, they will fly it over free of charge for us. So that's a really, really good thing that we can use, because there's a lot of devastation after a natural disaster, so that will help our office and certainly help you out. And another thing it does elevations, and I didn't know that until recently, but it does elevations, so that will be a big help to your department also. So it's a big, big win-win situation for everybody.
I have one question.
Yes.
Does Pictometry do all this work for the NSA, too?
It's no telling. I don't want to get involved in that.
All right, here we go. Councilman Melanson had a question.
Yeah, I just had a question on all the properties that y'all have gone out and found that 17%. How much additional revenue for the parish as of right now has been found or been added to the rolls that would be coming in on the next tax roll?
We could give you some exact information in
Just
probably
ballpark.
about a month.
After the border review, after
Yeah.
the border, after
Yeah,
October 3rd.
ballpark. No.
But let me tell you, it's way, 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 way over the $40,000.
So essentially, we won't really see a difference in what we're actually collecting. I mean, this 40,000 will come out, but it'll be of additional revenue, and we won't
It's
actually
gonna
see
be
a drop in what we see.
Considerably higher than that already, just the things we found already, yes.
Thank you. Councilman Saturday?
Thank you, Madam Chairman. Mert, how did 15 or 17, whatever the correct number is, out of every 100 homes in Ascension Parish not get on the tax rolls? I'm not looking for a political answer, but is not the building permit group communicating with the assessor's office, or?
We have an agreement now to where we are communicating. We receive it electronically. It is done on a daily basis. So it's really, we needed that. I think that's where some of the problem took place previously. And just the growth. We didn't have enough people in the assessor's office, didn't have the technology to do the job. It's just that simple.
All right, so my follow-up question was going to be then, you kind of answered part of it. This company, is it Pictology, is willing to Pictometry to come and do this in natural disaster, but let's say the Lord is good and we don't have any in the next 3 or 4 years. If we're communicating, we don't need one, but if not, we would have to come up with, out of the $400,000 you're requesting from all the government entities, another 150 somewhere to pay these guys to have a flyover without a disaster.
We shouldn't need it again because we have the building permits in real time,
Okay.
and we have enough people at the assessor's office to make sure that we do our job properly.
You giving me that as your guarantee?
As good as I can guarantee it, yes, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Councilman Shea Snyder.
Yes, thank you. And Mert, appreciate you coming here, and I applaud the idea of being innovative and doing something like this. There was just some questions that want to make sure we can answer, because as you look at aerial photography and everything, the first question people ask is, and I think Justin had answered indirectly, but how do we guarantee for people that it doesn't include overhangs or outbuildings or things that are not live areas?
Well, it actually takes oblique pictures, which helps, and then when we have Apex come in, Apex guarantees that the figures that they have is correct within 1%. And if you have to remember, if the constituent comes to us and disputes that, we can easily change that for them. Mm-hmm. We could send our crews out to do it, but most people would not come in for 1% difference.
Yeah, and they would also have an opportunity of a border review if they have that every year.
Certainly, but we'll make sure it won't get to that point.
Okay. And then, and I think Doc had asked the question, the updates would be necessary because of the continued updates that you have. Other thing, you know, you've got projections about what's going to happen and get the money back over a period of time. Could we just get a yearly report on how the progress is being, and, you know, so that we don't forget about this down the line?
Yes, we'll be very happy to provide that, because we think that the numbers are going to be actually higher than the numbers that we projected, because I told Justin when we were doing this to make sure that we did it very conservative, because I'd like to surprise y'all with more money than less money.
Mm-hmm. And then there was a question of under-assessed property. Is that going to be part of it, or how do you incorporate that aspect? I know you talked about under-assessed property as being part of the thing. Is that part of this program, or are you going to solve that?
Kent, we have a reassessment coming up in a few years, in actually 3 years from now, and what we'll do is we'll make those adjustments and all during that period. But right now we're concentrating just on the stuff that are not on the books, the improvements that are not on the books, because we want that to be fair. We want people to be paying that should be paid.
And then I guess the reverse, actually, I've gotten a lot of questions about it. What about, and while we have you, Captain, what about property that people believe has been over-assessed in the past? Because a lot of things have been assessed.
That is correct.
During the time that it was very high cost, and now that they've gone down.
I'm glad you asked that. We actually have a lot of subdivisions. We have a lot of improvements and all that we can make some adjustments to within the next year or so, and we are looking forward to making that. And of course we'll make some type of announcement whenever we do that. But we have seen some subdivisions in the parish that are being charged too much, and we want to help reduce that.
Okay, thank you very much.
I had one other question.
Councilman Lohr.
Just on the something you want to make sure I didn't remember it incorrectly. Did you guys say you were going to compare to the 2010 maps, the flyover?
They can.
They can?
Their technology can.
If they, for properties that have, you know, weren't, if a house was built in 2007 or something and it was never caught, or some structure or whatever, it's going to compare, you know, and it's not even on the 2010 map, you're still going to be able to,
We have
Be
to
able
go
to
through
compare
them
it
all
to.
individually anyway.
good, okay.
Apex is going to help with that. The company Apex is going to help to identify the ones that weren't on previous.
Gentlemen, I thank you so much. I'm looking, gentlemen of the council, for a motion to move
Make
this
the
to the
motion.
full
So
council.
moved.
Have a motion by Councilman Satterlee, a second by Councilman Melanson. Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you very much, council. Really appreciate that.
Thank you, Mert, for coming. Justin? I guess I got to apologize again because I missed 2, 3, and 4, but everybody's here but Councilman Joseph. And I will explain that I don't usually do this bad a job in this seat, but we were trying to get Charles in under an 8 o'clock appointment. Okay?
Wanted it to be legal.
We
that's
wanted,
all.
but we do want to get it legal, so I have acknowledged that Councilman Joseph is not here. There were no chair additions. We did ask, the first thing I asked was if you had a public comment, come up and sign the card, and, because I was in a rush. But moving right along to item number 6, which is now number 7, Ascension Economic Development Corporation.
Thank you. Tonight, Lisa Laws will make our presentation. Mike is out of town, out of conference, and I promise that we'll try to be brief.
Good evening, everyone. We distributed a packet to each of you with detailed reports, but I'm going to just touch on a few major items tonight to keep it kind of short. We continue to see a strong level of activity on the part of both potential new projects and possible expansions. 34 total, with a potential of $6.8 billion in investment and more than 2,000 possible new direct jobs. Year-to-date announcements so far, we have 8 projects with over $640 million in combined investment and 150 new jobs. And the Honeywell expansion, we have every reason to believe that it will be substantially more than the $4 million and 10 jobs, but they have some other projects in the works. And in your handouts, we have been recognized, that Ascension Parish has been recognized for some economic development achievements for last year. The first was the Baton Rouge MSA is the top large market for business growth, with a special mention that Ascension Parish drove the train. That you'll see it highlighted. Without Ascension, they may not have been that high. And AEDC received a special recognition from Southern Business and Development magazine. And there's also a handout that shows 100 top new jobs, new projects, and Ascension had 7 of those projects, the most in the whole state. And we continue to be aggressive in our visitations with the key employers in the parish. So far this year, we've called on 31 of those businesses, and that's also in the packet. And a few items for our program of work. We have ongoing structured dialogue with key elected and appointed officials. We meet monthly and quarterly with officials. And our funding sustainability for the Industrial Development Board, they actually met at our office this evening to discuss the cooperative endeavor agreement with AEDC and Ascension Parish. And I'm not sure what the decision was, but we hope to be able to report on that soon. And one of the major things we're working on is the economic development site evaluations. And we're preparing to launch the aggressive research effort aimed at identifying and cataloging the new sites for future development parish-wide, and hopefully come up with some new certified sites to pose to industry that wants to locate here. And we're using CSRS Incorporated and LEO for the contractors on this project. And we're going to launch in the near future. We have a meeting Friday of the committee. And Mike is sitting on the Films and Ascension Committee with President Martinez. And we're fully supportive of the work on that task force. And lastly, our financial review is in the packet for your information for 2012. And we're still in good financial condition and utilizing sound financial management practices. If you have any questions, we'd be happy to answer.
Thank you so much for coming. Do we have any questions, gentlemen? Hearing no questions, we thank you again for being here and for waiting your turn.
Okay, thank you all.
Thank you. Item number 8. Resolution, we need a resolution and ordinance to authorize the execution of an intergovernmental agreement with the Parish of Ascension to sell $550,000 in general revenue bonds as previously authorized by the Louisiana Bond Commissions, and to authorize the chairman or authorized member to sign all documents related thereto, including but not limited to any commitment letters necessary to complete the transaction, and to authorize the payment of fees associated with the bonds from the sale of the proceeds. O'Neill.
Yes, actually, this is just the first phase of it, because we're going to have to do an ordinance. We're going to purchase those bonds from ACUD number 1. That was part of the intergovernmental agreement that I sent to y'all previously. So I just need to move this so we can put it on. Oliver's not here, and this is really his baby, and I'd like to just get the authority to go ahead and introduce the ordinance at the next
Make that
meeting.
motion.
I have a motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, a second by Councilman Benny Lambert.
Benny Lambert.
Benny Johnson. God, I spent too long at work today. I apologize again. Benny Johnson. He wants to be a Lambert, I hear. Okay, we got that. You now
Bigger
converted.
family group, I'm not a problem.
All right, y'all are now cousins. All right, so I have that motion and a second. Do I have any opposition to that? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 9, Cooperative Endeavor Agreement with Ascension Festivals and Cultural Council Incorporated to provide $49,900 for the Louisiana Balloon Championship Festival. President Martinez and Mr. Brad Walker.
This is going to be our second year for the Balloon Festival, and the funds that we're getting here are going to be coming from the Lamar Dixon Fund, so it won't be coming anything out of the general fund. And this year, for the festival, they're going to charge interest fee, and Lamar Dixon is going to get back $1 for every person that goes in. Plus, we'll have some booths to sell the hamburgers and whatever stuff, the different concessions. So I just think it's a wonderful event that comes to the parish, and it'll be hopefully as successful this year as it was last year.
Make that motion. Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Lohr and a second by Councilman Benny Johnson.
If you want to ask Mr. Walker when
And I'm going to ask
is.
Mr. Walker to make any comments he would like to make.
I was just here really to answer any questions about the Balloon Festival. This year is going to be bigger than last year. Right now, we're currently still accepting applications for pilots, but we're at 45 regular balloons in the competition, and then we're at 8 shaped balloons this year. So last year we had 3 shaped balloons, which were the Eagle, the Daisy, and then the football. Well, this year we have 8 of those coming. The Eagle is coming back, but there's some replacements on the other ones. That's going to be new and exciting things that's going to come. We are also trying to utilize Lamar Dixon in the mornings this year. There will be activities at Lamar Dixon in the morning times, on Friday morning, Saturday morning, and Sunday morning. So we're not bringing the competition too far out like we did last year. So weather pending also. Everything's weather pending. So, but we're excited.
Brad, I want to congratulate you on your efforts last year and thank you for taking on this, on what is likely a monumental task this year, because this thing's going to grow. And I just wish you'd come and ask for more money.
Yeah, sorry. Dates, it's the last weekend in September. It's going to be the 29th through the 30th, I think, something like that, 31st, something like that. We're also doing a campaign because we had a lot of requests for businesses to sponsor a hot air balloon in their parking lot and bring business to their business. So we're going to do a campaign called Light Up Ascension on Thursday night, where a business can basically have a hot air balloon in their parking lot. They'll inflate it, they'll glow that night on Thursday night, just to kind of let everybody know that the balloon's here in Ascension Parish. And it's going to start Friday morning, so that's something new that wasn't done last year on Thursday night. So I'm excited, so it's coming along. Last year was kind of a proving ground. We didn't know if we'd get the people there. and we kind of got too many people there last year. I have done some research since having it, and so we've learned a lot of things about last year's balloon festival, on traffic, on getting people in. We did block the interstate close to Baton Rouge to Ascension and almost to Laplace to Ascension last year, so hopefully that won't happen. We'll have some traffic getting them in there. Last year our problem was how fast can we get them into Lamar-Dixon, and we were basically finished with, and they were still coming into Lamar-Dixon, and the balloon glow was completely over. So this year we're going to have 2 sets of fireworks, also a Friday night fireworks and a Saturday night fireworks, instead of just one fireworks, because it seems to help traffic with fireworks. You wouldn't think fireworks helps traffic, but about half the people will leave, half the people will stay. So you're not dealing with all the people trying to leave at one time with fireworks. So if anybody wants to volunteer or help, let me know. We're always looking for volunteers and help. The crew, all our pilots need crew to come help them set up a balloon, take it down. So anybody that wants to get involved in the balloon festival, just give me a call or find me. I'm not hard to find. Other than that, any questions or anything?
Absolutely. Councilman, who are you?
Boudreaux.
Randy Kluwat.
Hey, Brad, it was great last year. See if you can find a couple more balloons that give the rides. The balloon that gave the rides had a big, long line forever and ever.
We are adding a 3rd tether balloon this year.
Okay.
We'll be tethering in the mornings and in the afternoons this year, and there'll be 3 balloons tethering. You know, if somebody actually wants to ride in a balloon in a distance, they need to sponsor a balloon.
I was talking about the tether,
Tethering?
basically. Just go up.
Yeah, we are adding another one. We're also adding a balloon that's laid on its side that just kind of inflates with a fan, and then the kids can run inside the balloon while the fan's going and the balloon's inflated this year too. So we're adding that to it also as an activity for the kids.
I do know that the food vendors, they sold some food.
Yeah,
It was
they definitely
unexpected.
more prepared this year
they
than
weren't
last year.
prepared, some
Because
of
we
them.
really told them about 20,000 is what we expected, and we ended up getting 20,000 on Friday night, and then 40,000 on Saturday night. So that's been a huge thing.
That's
I've
great.
also done some research. I went to Albuquerque Balloon Festival, and I went to Natchez Balloon Festival, and then also Longview Balloon Festival. And all those pretty much charge entry fees, and that's where kind of, I know some people are going to complain about the entry fee. Well, none of those festivals can survive on sponsorships alone, and so all of them charge entry fees. So that's why I decided to kind of implement an entry fee to kind of add a longevity to the balloon festival. I know Lamar-Dixon, I think, pulled in around 53,000 just in concessions last year, and they had the Coke, alcohol, and the hamburgers and the hot dogs, and that's what they'll have again this year. So.
Good job.
Okay.
Excellent. Any other questions? Having a motion and a second. I'm sorry, Councilman Sadler.
Thank you. I have a concern here. It seems to me the last time this issue came before this council, probably to this committee, I believe it was Councilman Lambert who asked for a report to the parish council on the outcomes of the 2012 Balloon Festival. I don't believe that promise has been met. At least I haven't received anything that's not in the packet tonight. Also, I remember questioning about mostly the city of Gonzales, as far as the motels and the restaurants and all that were receiving the extra business because of this festival. Of course, were positively impacted by the Balloon Festival, but not necessarily the parish. And I believe there was questions last time about, so what is the city of Gonzales donating? I mean, have we approached their city council and so forth? Also, I noticed this year, the Cooperative Endeavor Agreement, the CEA, states that the $50,000 being asked for is to be primarily used for protection / safety, et cetera, of the visitors. And a question, shouldn't Sheriff Wiley be providing at least some of these extra services, or if that's not in the law enforcement job descriptions? I thought we were told that more corporate sponsorships were to occur in 2013, and hopefully that's happened. If so, why couldn't some of that money go toward the safety? And then finally, I believe Mr. Walker told Councilman Lambert that there was some sort of verbal commitment that there'd be some reimbursement last time of the $50K, and without seeing a report on it, I don't know if that's happened either. I don't believe that it has. So I wonder, what assurances do we have that beyond, I see in the CEA that there'll be some concession monies going to the parish, as well as net proceeds. After expenses, it says return to Ascension Parish. But I guess back to my main concern, I really would have liked to seen a report on this. I supported it last time. I'm having a little more difficulty trying to justify supporting it again.
Okay. I mean, I really wasn't informed that I was speaking tonight at all until about 4:30. So, I mean, we can provide anything that you need. The tax returns are for the festival. The Cultural Council are open to the public. It's a nonprofit group, so they are open. Just send me a request and I can email them to you. It's fine with me. I know the parish, Sheriff Wiley is informed. He does handle all the traffic and police. This year he's actually handling the parking. The group is handling the parking because there was some last year miscommunication between the parking and the traffic flow. Traffic was flowing, parking wasn't getting done fast enough. It was getting done, but it just wasn't getting done fast enough. So they've decided to take on both parking and traffic flow this year. Homeland Security is involved this year for safety and possible, since our recent chemical issues, they are going to be on hand also. Weather-related stuff, we actually have the National Weather Service is providing their federal bus, weather bus that's going to be on site. That's really to give weather information to the pilots and everything that's there. You know, as far as corporate sponsors, I don't beg for money. I ain't even begging for this money. That's up to y'all if y'all want to give it or not. And the corporate sponsors are coming, but they usually come 2 weeks before the actual event. You know, like the Thursday nights, you know, I have about 12 commitments, but as far as checks, they don't necessarily want to sign that check right this minute, you know. So we'll probably get a huge amount at the very end. That's another reason why I've decided on entry fees. You know, why should corporations pay for all this? You know, they're going to get sponsorship. You can advertise if you'd like, you know, and we'll get some advertising for it, you know, but it's a spectator sport. You know, it's people wanting to go see the balloons, wanting to enjoy the hot air balloons, you know. I can tell you, after doing research, you know, Longview, they charge parking and admission. You know, Albuquerque, they charge $10 parking and they charge $15 a person to get in. But they also have 600 balloons and 125 shaped balloons. So it's a bigger avenue, you know. Everything what our expenses is for the balloon pilots. We pay a show-up money fee for the balloon pilots to come down here for their time. We pay for their hotel. We pay for prize money. Right now, prize money is at $20,000 for the competition for it. So everything has to do with the hot air balloons coming down here. They don't just come down here for free. They're paid every day and stuff. So,
Brad, can you provide a statement to the Finance Committee, please, for our next meeting, and I'll enter that? Sure. Appreciate it.
Yep.
I'll give you a quick overview. It's pretty simple. I mean, we took in 53,000, I think, and we made 53,000 on concessions, and then 50,000 of the money came from the state last year. It came from actually Jody Amadei put it in the budget, and 50,000 came from the Festival of Festivals of that they had left. So basically, we made money on the concessions, and like I said, the state put up 50,000. We put up 50,000 from some money that was left over from the Festival of Festivals.
And mainly, I, as a business owner, I set goals for myself. Even with this balloon festival, we set goals. Last year, it was whether or not we can get the people to Lamar-Dixon. You know, it's always been an issue getting a huge amount of people, a big event, to Lamar-Dixon, you know. So that's what we focused on. We used a lot of that money advertising and things like that, you know, because we had to use the state money for advertising. And so we were able to succeed in getting people there, you know. Money as far as focus was not the whole focus last year. Now, this year, it is focused. Can we make this profitable? I do not want to do this a third year if it can't, you know, fund itself, you know. We went from a $150,000 budget last year to $75,000 this year, you know. And that's what we're running this festival on, is really a $75,000 budget, you know, which we assuming we'll get paid back once, you know, we're estimating a $2 admission. If we get, last year we got 60,000 people. You know, if we get 100,000 people this year for the weekend, that's $200,000 coming in, you know, for just admission alone. So those are some of the numbers, and we're also, last year did not sell shirts, glow-in-the-dark items, or anything like that, cups. We weren't going to take the risk last year that we get stuck with shirts, T-shirts, or cups, and all that stuff. So we didn't sell that this year. This year we're doing conservative. I think T-shirts, we'll have 5,000 T-shirts to sell. Once we sell them, we're out, you know. But we're raising that money this year from some type of merchandise this year, which we didn't do last year. So.
Councilman Lohr.
Just want to say, I'm not worried about this amount of funding in the slightest. I think the return on the investment was vastly demonstrated last year. I think it was the most successful event we've ever had at Lamar-Dixon and probably in Ascension Parish. It was so great to hear so many people who had never been there really just kind of had their eyes opened about what that facility could be used for and about Ascension in general. I think you do a fantastic job, Brad, with everything that you've done for the community. Heck, Dancing for a Cause recently was another event that you kind of taken the reins on and donated a ton of time, and you do a phenomenal job with that. And I have no worries whatsoever. This year is going to be even better, and with less money. So I don't mind the suggestion around asking other entities to help, like Gonzales and all of that. But regardless, no worries whatsoever from me, and I appreciate the job you do.
And just to give you all an update, we're one of the only festivals that are done by an individual and an individual group. Okay, Natchez, the city of Natchez puts on the Balloon Festival in Natchez. The city of Albuquerque, okay, puts on the Albuquerque one. Foley is, same way. Gulf Coast Balloon Festival is put on by the Gulf Coast, that Foley government, the whole town. So we're really the only ones that have a nonprofit putting on a balloon festival, just to let you know. We're also in the running for, if we can succeed for another 2 years, a Nationals, which is currently Longview. In Longview, the city of Longview does theirs. In fact, National Guard does Longview's parking, okay, in Longview. So just to kind of give you a heads up, it's just trying to gear it to where there is some kind of entity taking it over and using it. I do know this, is that all the hotels from anywhere around here were full. I know we use 80 rooms just here in the city of Gonzales. We have approached the mayor, and I've asked him for $25,000. Okay, doesn't mean I'm getting it, but I've asked. Okay, from the city of Gonzales, and he knows too that the Outlet Mall was full. Cabela's was full. All the hotels were full. Hotels were full in Baton Rouge. So they know the impact in Gonzales also. So we'll see, based off their funding. So.
Mr. Martinez.
I just want to add to what Chris said about the people coming here and the great comments. If you had to be there to get the comments that were done, we also don't put any money in our budget to advertise Lamar-Dixon. So we give away $50,000, $300,000, $100,000 to a lot of other organizations and other things, and don't ask any questions. So it's something we own, and then we're going to get asked questions about it. I really kind of take offense to that, but anyway, I think Lamar-Dixon is a great facility. I think this festival showed what it can do. We also have the opportunity. We've gotten grant money, and once we improve the 4-H building and air condition it and add all kind of different things, it's going to bring a lot of money here to the parish. Since we've instituted and taken over Lamar-Dixon, like we actually owned it. We've never come back to the council and asked for a penny from Lamar-Dixon. We are at one, I think we still have a fund balance of close to $1 million, if not more. So, I mean, I don't know what more to do there without getting the facility questioned every time something comes up. So, again, I just think we're beating ourselves and slapping ourselves in the face every time we ask these questions, because, I mean, I don't know how long it's going to have to prove itself before we accept it here as a group.
We have a motion and a second. Councilman Shakespeare.
I just want to echo Chris. I mean, I was blown away last year, I can tell you. It was an awesome thing. Anybody that talks to anyone about putting on a festival, anything of this sort, will tell you the extreme hurdle of getting through the first year, and what y'all were thrown into to do that and make it successful is fantastic. $2 charged for entry fee. That's 3 bites at the movies when you go spend $25, $30 to watch a bad movie. So it's a great family entertainment. This is what Ascension Parish is all about. I was just, as I can say, Brad, congratulations for everything you've done. I was blown away. My family was blown away by it. And to echo everyone else, this is a great advertisement for Lamar Dixon Center, which is an investment for this whole parish. Yes, if we can get the city of Gonzales to participate, great, but it's something that we can be proud of as a parish. We own Lamar Dixon. We're advertising for it. We're putting on a festival that is good as anywhere in the state, and I just want to echo Councilman Cazzo. I'd be willing to put up, whatever it takes to make this successful. So.
And I know we're getting some more advertising. We did get requests from K-Love radio network, actually advertising throughout their whole network our festival. So they'll be advertising it the whole month of September off of K-Love network. The other one is the Gambit Weekly out of New Orleans came on board, wanting to advertise us, and they actually want to come here and show people the Gambit Weekly. So that's huge in the New Orleans market. That's going to be coming down from Gambit Weekly. So we've picked up new advertisers. So.
Councilman Satterley.
Yeah, just to be clear, Brad, I think you do a good job too, and I'm not against your balloon festival no more than, I don't like being demonized that, I'm against firemen when I feel like we can maybe save some dollars without a special election, et cetera. These things to me are all tired. Every penny helps. Now the comment actually that I made, or two that I was real concerned about, I think you've adequately addressed. One, I think you've admitted that you didn't know to 4:30 you were even speaking. And if that's the reason we don't have the report, that's the reason we don't have a report. But I think you do have appreciation. That's why I'm a bit reluctant. The other comment about other people becoming, and I think it's item 9 all the way to 16, asking for various monies, most of which is grandfathered in. And by the way, I'd like to tell you on that, since Chairman Castro asked me to chair and we have instigated the nonprofit grant program, you are aware that if you seek funding again next year as a nonprofit, you would have to go through that mechanism as opposed to just come and ask for a CEA like you and everyone else is doing today. Mm-hmm. But I note in the packet, I forget which item, the River Region Art Association will be up here shortly. They extensively present information about what their activities were at Homeless House and so forth and so on, and so that's tied back to the report. And then quite frankly, I think you've also said, Councilman Sadley, I sort of agree that Gonzales should be paying a little more. You went to them.
Yes, I have.
I have no way of knowing that from my packet information, and if you've asked them for information, I applaud you, and hopefully the mayor. And so if they're watching tonight, Councilman Sadley suggests that maybe you guys could pony up a little bit too, et cetera. So I hope the president doesn't think that I really meant to offend him or you or anybody. I'm just concerned about, card laid or card played. If you promise to send a report, I would just like to see it in trying to make some of these decisions, in a little more timely fashion. That's all I was trying to do, folks, honestly. But thank you for listening.
But yeah, I would have brought it if I would have known earlier. But yeah.
All right, gentlemen, we have a motion and a second. Do we have any objection? Motion passes.
Okay. Thank y'all.
Thank you, Brad. Item number 10, the cooperative endeavor agreement with the Board of Supervisors, Louisiana State University and A&M College, represented by the LSU Ag Center for the amount of $50,000. I have a motion from Councilman Kluot, second from Councilman Lambert, one of those Lambert cousins. Mr. Ogeron, do you have any comments that you'd like to make?
We'd like to thank you for your support of this 4-H agent in the past. They bring a lot to the parish. We're also proud of Lamar Dixon. Don't know if y'all driven by, but our master gardeners have put in a beautiful bed at the entrance of Lamar Dixon, and we thank y'all for letting us work with y'all, and we're proud to serve the parish.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Hearing a motion and a second, do we have any further questions? Any opposition? That motion passes. Item number 11, cooperative endeavor agreement with Community Opportunities of East Ascension to provide $5,000 for Dancing for a Cause.
Make that motion.
Second.
A motion and a second. Motion from Councilman Lohr, second from Councilman Shake Snyder. Any questions? Any objections? That motion passes. Number 12, renewal of agreement between Ascension Parish government and the River Regions Art Association for the amount of $6,500. Ms. Joanne Eisworth, President of the River Region Art Association, and gentlemen, I passed out a piece of paper that Ms. Eisworth presented to me ahead of the meeting for your consideration. Ms. Eisworth, Randy, before you make that motion, if you'll allow her to speak, please. I think she has a
I do have a
request of the
presentation.
council.
I wanted to give an annual report on your cooperative agreement for last year. Thank you, Councilwoman Tasso and members of the council, President Martindez, and members of the audience. Before I talk, I want to introduce myself. I am Joanne Eisworth, President of River Region Art Association, and with me today I brought several of our members. If they would stand, I'd like to acknowledge them and thank them for their help. Kathy Bourgeois, Chair of the Scarecrow Swamp Gonzales Committee. Betty Marks is our Assistant Vice President. Donna Redmond is our Secretary. And last but not least is my husband, who is also a member, John Eisworth. Well, thanks for coming. Now, I have a PowerPoint presentation, and I just have to learn how to turn it on. Here we go. Well, as I said, I'm here today to report on our activities and to ask for renewal and possibly an increase to our cooperative agreement. Last year, our outcoming and ingoing board met for an annual retreat, and we looked at where we want to be as an organization, who do we want to be, and how best can we serve Ascension Parish. And our vision for our organization is to be recognized as a regional leader in the arts and located in a viable cultural center that is a place of opportunity for artistic creativity, learning, and inspiration. At that retreat, we also refreshed and revised our mission statement. And our mission statement now reflects 4 key areas in which is our purpose. We want to bring artists and arts advocates together to improve public awareness of all art forms, support local artists, promote arts in the community, and provide educational opportunities for emerging and established artists, students, and the general public. Well, let me get back to this. Well, who are we and what do we do? Well, we're a volunteer-driven organization. We're about 80 members strong. We have an elected board of directors that meets monthly, and we have a general membership who also meets monthly. We have 2 art galleries and a monthly art market that serves, we had an attendance of about 6,000 last year. We have educational programs where we served 1,500 youth and 200 adults. We held 6 art exhibitions with 400+ entries. We had a community art festival where we had an attendance of about 4,000, and total served in 2012 was about 15,000, excuse me. First, I want to talk a little bit about our art galleries, our 2 art galleries and art market, where the members can exhibit and sell their art on a regular basis. This PowerPoint is really new for me, so excuse me, I haven't done a PowerPoint in a couple of years, so I'm a little nervous.
I've been botching this all night, so you just go right ahead.
Well, we're very excited to announce today, we haven't even announced it to the media, we're opening a new gallery titled the River Region Art Depot Gallery. It's located at 1008 West Highway 30 in Gonzales. We've moved into the historic city-owned Edenborn Depot building. Those of you that are longtime Gonzales residents, you know about that depot building, and we're very excited to be there. We've turned 2 rooms of the depot into a large art gallery filled with more than 200 pieces of original art representing 24 artists. And we have a 3rd room in the depot that we've turned into a large classroom and an art library where people can come and check out books and view tapes and learn more about the art. We've just opened a few days ago. We're open Wednesdays through Sundays from 11 a.m. to 5 p.m. And I hope you all come out and visit us fairly soon. We will have the official ribbon cutting on August the 20th at 10 a.m. And then in September, in early September, we're going to have a large opening reception. We also have a secondary gallery that's opened at Homeless House Gift Shop on River Road in Darrow. It's open daily from 10 to 5, and it's all staffed by volunteers. And our depot gallery is also staffed by volunteers, where we have more original art by our members. I want to just take a moment to say how much we appreciate Kevin Kelly, owner of Homeless House, for providing us a space at Homeless House Gift Shop, and also providing us a space at the entrance of the Homeless House to have our monthly art gumbo market. It's held every third Saturday. We love being there. We love meeting visitors coming off the boats, and we love being arts ambassadors to all the visitors that come to Homeless House. As I said, we host about 6 art exhibitions throughout the year. They're open to all the artists, emerging and established. And in 2012, we had more than 400 entries. One of the other exhibitions we have is our youth art exhibition, and this is open to schools throughout the parish and beyond, and it's open to K through 12 students. They're judged, and the prizes are awarded during Creativity Day. Another exhibit that we have, as I mentioned before, was the Scarecrow Swamp Gonzales. Last year, we had 33 businesses participate in this fun activity where the businesses sponsored and created a scarecrow on their own site, and then we had a scavenger hunt that the public can go from business to business and view the scarecrows, and then we awarded prizes at our Awesome Art on the Bayou Festival. And if you look at here, Lieutenant Governor Jay Darden came, and he was an honorary judge for that exhibit. Other annual exhibitions, we have an Awesome Art exhibition at our festival, a photography exhibition, and this year we're going to start a new endeavor for us, the Cultural Exchange Art Exhibition. We're pairing several of our artists with artists from the Gonzales sister city, Milan, France. These artists are corresponding now and getting to know each other. They're learning about their commonalities and different through the art, and each of these artists are going to be developing a new piece of art. And when the group from Milan, France comes and visits the Gonzales area in October, we're going to hold an art exhibit of the artists from France and the artists from our membership. We get more calls than anything else about art classes. Where can I take painting or drawing? My child loves art. Where can he or she learn more about the art? And we've offered art classes ever since we've been in existence and since we were formed in 1993. But this year we're really greatly expanding our whole education program to meet more of those demands. This was a real banner year for us this summer. We've traditionally been located in a small house in Gonzales where we could only accommodate a few students. Well, the Recreation Department of the Parish of Ascension offered us the Santa Maria Recreation Center. That's a huge facility, and we almost filled it up. We had a record number of 183 students attend this year in 4 weekly sessions. We had 6 instructors, and what endeared me most and knew we were on the right track is we distribute evaluation forms to the parents at the end of the program each week, and the majority of the parents rated our program excellent, and they wanted us to increase their hours. And so next year we're looking at increasing the hours and possibly holding it at 2 locations, maybe one in Santa Maria area and then one more in the Gonzales area, so we could reach more students. And I just threw this slide in just to show you, we just loved that facility. It had 3 sinks, 2 bathrooms, and more tables than we than we even used, and we really want to thank the Parish of Ascension for allowing us to be there. We also offer free programs for youth. We offer Youth Creativity Day every spring, where we have booths that students can go from one booth to another and make wonderful pieces of art. And we talked a little bit about the Balloon Festival. We helped man the Children's Village at the Balloon Festival. And through our artists and other volunteers, we painted 700 faces in 2 days for students. And we probably had hands-on activities for more than 1,200 students. In April, we hosted a 3-day oil painting at Homa's house with renowned artist Elaine Keeler. And then at many of our monthly meetings, we have presentations or demonstrations by guest artists or some of our members, and this is one that was presented by Helen Haw, on the art of photography at one of our meetings. And as I said, we're greatly expanding our programs this year, and I'm very, very excited about this. This is a new program that's starting in September that's developed in partnership with the River Parishes Community College, and it's modeled a little after the Union Leisure classes. The classes will be the art classes will be located both at the Art Depot Gallery and also at the River Parishes Community College. There'll be non-credit classes held in 2 6-week sessions beginning in each fall and each spring. The cost will be $75 for a River Region Art Association member and $85 for non-members. The first session starts September the 9th and ends the 19th, and then we have another one following shortly after that. And I know you can't read all those, but we have 9 classes that we're offering in painting and drawing and collage and introduction to cartoons and photography. I think it's going to be an exciting program, and this could be the basis of something that we can grow, maybe even beyond just art classes, dance classes, or other classes that if you're interested in taking enrichment classes, you wouldn't have to travel to Baton Rouge to do this, and it's something I think that will be a good draw for Ascension Parish and for our community. So we're really excited about this program. Our annual art festival is in its 8th year. We began at Cajun Village when we were just a small organization with art on the front porch, and after several years we moved to a larger venue at Homa's house where it was titled Awesome Art in the Gardens. Then in 2011, the city of Gonzales generously offered Jambalaya Park as a location, and it's a really good fit for this particular festival. In 2012, the Awesome Art on the Bayou Festival was held October the 13th and 14th at Jambalaya Park. We estimate we had about 4,000 attendants. We had 77 total vendors. Our vendors were mostly arts and crafts, and these were mostly local folks, but we also drew vendors throughout the country from other states as well. We had performances going on the stage, and we had demonstrators, Native American crafts, and all kind of demonstrators. Of course, we had the Children's Art Village. We took over the whole playground area at Jambalaya Park and turned it into a Children's Art Village where students can also have free activities in the arts. We had 177 entries in our Awesome Art exhibit at the City Hall during that event, and we also gave out the awards for the Scarecrow's Swamp Gonzales exhibit. In 2013, the festival will be held November 2nd and 3rd, again at Jambalaya Park. As you can see, we're making great strides in bringing our vision to reality. River Region Art Association, we have a new byline, a place where creativity flows. But it's also a place where members in the public can share their talents. It's a place where you can network with friends of like minds. It's a place where we can inspire a future, through our education programs. And lastly, it's a place where I believe that we can work together to enrich our community in everything that we do. I want to end my talk really to thank everyone for the appreciation for your support. We've had a cooperative agreement with Ascension Parish, I think, since 2003. And without your funding, I don't think we could do a lot of the things. It's really been the basis of support that we really count on. We also receive grants from the Louisiana Division of the Arts and the Arts Council of Greater Baton Rouge. We receive in-kind support from the City of Gonzales and Homeless House. We also receive support from our membership and individuals and area businesses. I want to thank you for this opportunity to come before you and humbly request that you renew our cooperative agreement and possibly increase the amount from $6,750 to $10,000. And the reason why I'm asking for an increase mostly is because we have been cut over and over through our state arts funding. In 2007, at that time we were receiving about $15,000 in grants. And on this chart, if you look down, by 2013, we expect we'll probably get about $4,000. And so as the state funding has gone down, the parish funding has also gone down, and it really leaves us in a real bind on being able to provide these programs. And we hope that you would consider renewing our cooperative agreement, but possibly increasing it from $6,750 to $10,000. Thank you.
Ms. Eisworth, if you'll give us just a minute, we may have some questions considering that there is a change in what you're asking for. Councilman Lower.
I was just actually going to go ahead and make a motion for the 6750 for the renewal of what's in place. I certainly appreciate everything you guys do. I think you're a great asset to the community and everything, and feel sorry that you guys have been feeling the pain from the state cuts and everything, but I just don't feel like that we can make up for that in light of, I mean, it's lots of course, demands on us as well. And
I'm sure.
We've been good to just try to hold what we have status quo as well. So, you know, again, I certainly think you guys do a great job, and I'll be glad to support you guys for the renewal of the current amount, $67.50. And I'll make that in the form of the motion.
I have a motion and a second. Any questions? Councilman Satterley.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, and thank you for the presentation.
You're welcome.
I'm not sure, but I have several questions, one on the motion and then one independent of that. Previously, you probably heard me tell Mr. Walker how I'd like to have seen a report, and I compliment you for an excellent report. In fact, there's even information in our packet beyond your PowerPoint. It has all the financial stuff that happened last year with it. Well, you do realize, as I told Mr. Walker, however, that we're coming up with a nonprofit program. I assume the parish has contacted you about that.
And
so next time you'll have to go through that as opposed to just come here and try to execute a CEA. That said, that's the opposite problem we had with the previous application was it's a CEA and no report. This one has the two excellent reports, but unless I missed something, Madam Chairman, I do not see a cooperative endeavor agreement in my packet. So what does it say? And then the follow-up question is, if you're asking for $10,000, the piece of paper that was handed out to us, it has 2013 same 6750, and then it says 2013 proposed 10,000. Is that a typo? Or does that mean 2014?
No, what I meant is if we have the cooperative agreement same as last year, it would be 6,750. And I was going to propose that we, instead of having it the same, it would be 10,000.
So it is under 2013, and Madam Chairman, as a result, it would be grandfathered in before nonprofit program kicks in, and we actually have money in the budget for it, correct?
Yes.
Okay, so the only thing that's missing in my mind is a cooperative endeavor agreement.
Mr. Martinez, would you?
I would have to ask Cinnamon. She's on. She was out today, and I guess she did not put it in. But Kimlin, do we have a copy of it here? Find it. We don't have a copy here.
I hate to do this to you, but we're fixing to vote on something that I can't see, and that's a little difficult.
Our cooperative endeavor agreements are very standard.
Yeah.
O'Neill, you want to comment on that?
It's the same
Renewal.
cooperative endeavor agreement we use. They're going to provide the art services, and we're going to provide the funding. It'd be the same one as last year, just changing the dates.
Motion to
So I have a motion and a second. Councilman Shake Snyder would
Can
like.
we just make it as providing the cooperative endeavor agreement gets signed?
We can do it at the council meeting, you'll have a copy before, we'll send you a copy, you'll have, you don't have to vote on it.
Right.
I appreciate that.
Okay, so I have a motion by Councilman Lohr and a second by Councilman Benny Johnson. It's getting late, we're all stirred. I don't think he knows who he is now. And do I have any objections? That is for $6,750 as already determined by the budget.
One discussion.
Any further discussion?
Just one discussion, Mr. Chairman. Ms. Joanne?
Yes.
So your shortfall is about $3,250 is what you have? With the buildings and stuff that we're supplying, is that helping you, or what else do you need?
It is helping us. What we're looking at is a shortfall mostly for our community art festival. We received a grant, a state grant last year for the festival. We're not receiving a grant this year for the festival. And
Right.
so it's really to support the Awesome Art on the Bayou Festival.
Councilman Kluwer.
Hey, good job.
Thanks.
I'm referencing Doc on the last agenda item. What is the city of Gonzales chipping into the pot there?
Well, we are leasing the building from the city of Gonzales, but because we're the depot building, but they are picking up our utilities, they're maintaining the building, so it does help us in our bottom line as far as what we were paying before. And also, on the Awesome Art on the Bayou Festival, we're there at Jambalaya Park at no cost.
Okay. Thank you, ma'am.
So their support is very strong, but it's all been through in kind.
Sure.
That's important.
That motion and second. Here, any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you very much.
Item number 13, renewal of the contract between CDM Smith and the Ascension Parish government for 2013 disaster-related debris monitoring and related services. Mr. Rick Weber.
Madam Chairman, CDM Smith has been our debris removal monitor since 2008. They've worked Hurricanes Gustav and Isaac, very detailed in their reporting and well within range of FEMA reimbursements. One of their representatives are here, Mike Enlow, been absolutely instrumental during a disaster to help us, and I'd like to request.
Motion.
Second.
Have a motion by Councilman Lambert, second by Councilman Satterly. Any questions? Any objections? That motion passes.
Thank you.
Renewal, item number 14, renewal of the contract with John McMillan and Associates in amount not to exceed $86,000 annually. Ms. Lomas.
This is renewal of the contract last year with John McMillan and Associates. It's for $86,000, and that's to.
Have a motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, a second by Councilman Randy Kluwat.
Benny Johnson.
Y'all quit messing with me now. And do we have any questions? Councilman Shakespeare.
Real quick, I just want to acknowledge, John, thank you for, I know personally what was done to garner the revenue for the lighting and stuff at Lamar Dixon from in Washington and all the other work. So we appreciate that from that standpoint. We've been a plus in what you've done. So thank you.
Any other comments, questions? Any objection? Hearing none, the motion passes. Number 15, renewal of agreement between Ascension Parish Government and Fresh Architecture Consulting, LLC, in an amount not to exceed $55,000 annually. Martha Collins.
Thank you, Madam Chairman, members of the council. This is a renewal for Fresh Architect. This is for Ms. Jen Leo. She's been in our office as the project manager for our CDBG projects and also helping out with our FEMA. We'd like to ask that you approve this renewal.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Todd Lambert, second by Councilman Satterly. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Thank you.
If y'all knew what they were doing to me up here. And then they'll fuss because I'm not moving along. Right. Item number 16, renewal of the contract between BFI Waste Systems of Louisiana, LLC, and Ascension Parish Government for the amount of $173,500. Brian Martinez and Kenny Matassa.
I will handle that, Madam Chairman.
Thank you.
I'm not Brian, but do my best.
Sure not Kenny.
Yeah, exactly. You want to stand up? We'll note that you're not Kenny.
This is basically for removal of the sludge out of our treatment systems that we operate. We have to actually pump those systems out to maintain good production and waste treatment. So that's what the purpose of it.
Second.
Motion by Councilman Benny Johnson, second by Councilman Ken Shakespeare. Do I have any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. Item number 17, the monthly contracts report. Ms. Kimlin Bailey Lomas.
The contracts report for the months of June and July 2013 have been included in your packet. You can look over them and tell me if you have any questions.
No question.
Do we have any questions, gentlemen? I've lost my place here on my agenda. Randy, grab
Item
yours.
17.
It shut down on me. Thank you. All right. Any questions, gentlemen? All right, we'll move along to the sales and use report by Ms. Dawn Caballero.
Good evening. You have before you the sales tax reports for June collections. As you can see, the East Ascension Drainage half-cent sales tax district collections for the month are up approximately 23% compared to June of last year, and year-to-date collections are up approximately 28% as compared to year-to-date last year. For sales and use tax district number 1, the collections are up approximately 27% for the month of June compared to last year, and year-to-date collections are up approximately 35%. For sales and use tax district number 2, the half-cent sales tax collections for the month of June are up approximately 28% as compared to last year, and year-to-date collections are up approximately 36%. As compared to the budget, year-to-date collections are 70.9% of the budget for East Ascension Drainage half-cent sales tax district, 74.7% of the budget for sales and use tax district number 1, and 77.5% of the budget for sales and use tax district number 2. The next 3 pages are the graphs that you normally receive. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to answer.
Gentlemen, are there any questions? We'll move along to the revenue and expenditure report. Ms. Amanda Barrett.
Good evening. Before you are the financial reports for the month of June 2013. On page 1, your total revenues are at 45.18% at 50% of the year. Revenues highlighted in green are funds that are under the budget by 5% or more. And on page 4, there's an explanation for those funds. On page 2, total expenditures are at 46.43% at 50% of the year. The funds highlighted in green are funds that are over the budget by 5% or more. And on page 5, there's a report that explains those funds. On page 3 are charts that compare both year-to-date revenue and expenditures for operating, which is the yellow bar, and capital, which is the blue bar, to the budget, which is your green bar. And the last page of the report is a listing of all checks issued in June 2013 over $100,000. And the total of these checks are $2,410,748.27. And I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Gentlemen, are there any questions? Hearing none. I do want to make a mention, Kimlin, that Councilman Melanson had to leave quite a while back. Okay. Item number 20, request for proposals, the emergency feeding for parish workers during a declared emergency. Ms. Jones Shivers.
On June 19, 2013, the Purchasing Department received 2 proposals for emergency feeding of parish workers. The proposals were received from Ralph's Supermarket and Piccadilly. After review, the selection committee recommends accepting the proposal submitted by Rep Supermarket and to authorize the parish president to begin contract negotiations for this service.
So moved, Madam Chairman.
I have a motion by
Second.
Councilman Todd Lambert, a
Second.
second by Councilman Randy Cluott. Any objections? Hearing none, the motion passes. Item number 21, bid items. To accept the lowest responsible bid as follows. Ms. Jones Shivers.
On April 10, 2013, the purchasing department received 5 bids for mosquito control chemicals. After review, the purchasing department and mosquito control department recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this commodity. Proposal submitted by bid submitted by Adapco Incorporated, Scourge, and Perm X. Clark Mosquito Control, Biomiss, Anvil, Vectolex FG, Vectolex WDG, and Mosquito Master. From Target Specialty, Mosquito Miss. From Univar USA Control, Sunspar, Masterline Control, and Alticid.
Repeat, what's the low bid?
Who was awarded the low
Who you
bids?
recommended?
The first line is Adapco for the chemical Scourge and Permex.
Are we buying that many chemicals, different chemicals?
Yes, there were a whole
Okay,
list of different chemicals, and we are awarding each chemical to the lowest responsive bid.
Okay.
Thank you very
So
much.
we're gonna be looking at everybody on it.
Yeah,
Right.
it's not a package bid, we awarded it by the chemical.
Excellent.
Make that motion.
A motion by Councilman Benny Johnson,
Second.
second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any questions? Any objections? Motion passes. B.
On June 11, 2013, the purchasing department received 1 bid for 3M street road name signs. The bid was received from Traffic Control Products. After review, the purchasing department and the DPW recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Traffic Control Products and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this commodity.
So moved.
Have a motion by Councilman Dempsey Lambert, a second by Councilman Randy Cluott. Any questions? Hearing none, that motion passes. I just hope they're going to spell the names of the streets right.
We'll try.
No reference to Lamar Dixion intended.
On June 11, 2013, the purchasing department received 2 bids for 3M traffic control signs and supplies. The bids were received from Traffic Control Products and Pathmark. After review, the purchasing department and DPW recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Traffic Control Products and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable or agreement for this commodity.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman Benny Johnson, second by Councilman Todd Lambert. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
The Roundtree Road Bridge Replacement. Bill presented this bid to the board earlier, and I'm requesting the bid move forward to the full council for
Motion.
approval.
Second.
I have a motion by Councilman Randy Cluott, a second by Councilman Dempsey Lambert. Any questions? Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes.
Last one, DPW Wash Facility. On July 10, 2013, the purchasing department received 2 bids for the DPW Wash Facility. After review, the purchasing department and parish engineering department recommend accepting the lowest responsive bid from Acadian Commercial Contractors and to authorize the parish president to enter into any applicable agreement or contract for this service.
Motion.
Motion by Councilman
Second.
Randy Cluott, second by Councilman
Here, sorry.
Daniel Satterley. Couldn't tell who made that one, thank you. Any questions? Mr. President?
Just want to make a comment on the car wash, basically, is what it is, and that's kind of one of the requirements under the Stormwater Act, so.
Thank you.
Yep.
Any objections? Hearing none, that motion passes. We have item number 22, a discussion of settlement of claim by GSA,
Executive session.
and we will be moving into an executive session for that purpose with Mr. O'Neill Parrington. Have a motion by Councilman Benny Johnson, a second by Councilman Todd Lambert, and we will adjourn
We
to
need a roll
decide.
call to go into
Roll call. Councilman Johnson?
Councilman,
You rolling with it, huh?
Councilman Shake Snyder?
Yes.
Councilman
I'm
Turner?
Yes.
Councilman Satterley?
Yes.
Councilman Dempsey Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Kluot?
Yes.
Councilman Lord?
Yes.
Councilman Lambert?
Yes.
Councilman Johnson?
Move to reopen regular meeting.
Second.
Have a motion and a second to reconvene. Any objection? Hearing none, we are now in session.
Motion adjourned.
Thank you.
Second.
Got it.